Travelling by train, you conjure up images of opulent carriages, stylish passengers, and thrilling destinations. I'm Jonathan Phang, a self-confessed bon viveur with an obsession with gastronomy.
Perfect. I've forgotten about my 48-year dieting.
In this series, I'm going on a gourmet journey, crossing continents from Australia to Canada, the highlands of Scotland to deepest, darkest Peru, on board some of the world's most extraordinary trains.
Wow.
On my gourmet adventure of a lifetime, I'll be sampling some of the world's best culinary delights. Both on board the trains and at my many stops along the way. I'll be meeting some wonderful chefs and amazing characters.
It's been a pleasure to cook with you. Nerve-wracking, but I'm thrilled I did it.
And finding out once and for all, is it better to travel than to arrive? I've had a 20-hour flight and have travelled halfway across the world to arrive here in Perth. Later on, I'll be boarding the Indian Pacific train, which promises to be the gastronomic journey of a lifetime as I travel the huge expanse of Australia, disembarking at my final destination in Sydney. But before all that, this is spring in Western Australia. There is no escaping the fact that despite modern transport and communications, Perth is still the most isolated city in the world. It's on the far west coast of Australia. The nearest city is Adelaide, some 1,672 miles away, and it's 2,500 miles away from Sydney. And yet, despite that, its population is growing and businesses moving in. It's become a vital cog for people coming and going across the continent. The weather is gorgeous, and I'm going to get my bearings here in this fascinating city. But first of all, I need something to eat. I'm here at the beautiful Cottesloe Beach in Perth to meet Chef Russell Blakey from the Cotton Co restaurant. Of course, being here on the beach, it's all about seafood, and he's going to teach me one of his signature dishes. I can't wait. Hello.
Jonathan, how are you going?
Very well, Russell. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
What a wonderful location you have here, you lucky boy.
How fantastic is it?
I know, right on the beach.
I go surfing out there.
What, between service, you go surfing on the beach, you see? That's the way to live, isn't it?
I don't tell too many people that. I'd keep that quiet.
All right, he doesn't at all.
It's a job benefit.
And who can blame him? Cottesloe Beach is a surfer's paradise, as well as being voted best family beach in the world. Now, I don't mean to resort to stereotypes, but we are about to put some prawns on a barbie. All right, a grill pan, but not just any prawns.
Look at those prawns.
They are serious. That's a serious prawn.
That is a serious prawn.
You know, when you look at a product like this, it's really important to know about how they catch it.
Right.
Because the story is, these guys, they go out on the boat and they trawl for these prawns in Shark Bay. It's actually a World Heritage listed area.
Right.
And they freeze these on the boat, so...
Immediately.
Snap frozen. So when I defrost this, it hasn't been through that double freezing process that so many prawns have.
Oh. And are all the fish that you serve here Australian fish? It's all local?
Pretty well all local fish. There might be some East Coast fish, but there's so many West Coast fish that we're very, very fortunate to have access to.
Right.
And the West Coast of West Australia is brimming with beautiful, sweet fish varieties.
The Australians love this style of Asian cooking, which is widely known as Pacific Rim cuisine, drawing influences from nearby Thailand and Vietnam, but also bits of Hawaiian and French cooking.
Well, let's do it. So, quite simply, I'm not going to use the head with these prawns, so I'm just going to pop that off.
Yeah.
And peel away like so, very, very simply. And I'm going to leave the tail on just for a little bit of decoration. Yeah. Something you can pick it up with as well.
It's easy to pick it up with the tail, isn't it?
Okay. And we're going to smash some lemongrass.
Yeah.
Because I want to release some of the flavours out of this. So you can use the back of the knife. Okay. You have to be careful when you do that with a sharp knife. And then open it up onto a plate.
these ingredients which have sort of creeped in from Asia that are pretty household now here, I'd imagine, Russell.
The thing about Southeast Asian food for Australians is because we taste it so often, it's almost second nature.
Yeah.
You're going to find fish sauce. You're going to find a lot of these gingers, chilies, corianders, kaffir lime. You're going to see that very regularly in an Australian fish.
I see.
We want to give them a little bit of marinating for an hour or so. We can chop up some chilli first and take the seeds out. I'm not a big fan of the heat of chilies. These are very mild chilies. Southeast Asian chilies, I mean, they do have a particular resistance to heat in Southeast Asia.
Yes, we do.
And I'm toning this down using these larger chilies.
I think it would be a shame to sort of mask the flavour of the freshness of the prawns, actually, by having too much heat in there anyway.
We're just going to sprinkle that over the top.
Nice.
Okay. And then we'll get some little bit of ginger.
Yeah.
Very simply, just grate a little bit of ginger. One thing that you'll notice about West Australian prawns, these prawns from Shark Bay, is you're going to get, I think, 2 or 3 times the amount of flavour that you do out of a prawn that's an Asian prawn.
Right.
These
Really,
are
that much?
intense. You wait till you taste it.
I can't wait to
Trust
taste
me,
it.
I'm a
Come
chef.
on, great.
Yep.
I can't wait to taste it.
Now, these are some kaffir lime leaves. Have a squeeze of that. I mean, you're not a stranger to kaffir lime. I know that.
Ooh,
That's off my tree
that's
at home.
really intense.
Yep. Freshly picked this morning
Really? From your garden?
from my garden. Kaffir lime, for me, I want to shave that really, really finely. Really, really fine. And so when we bless the prawns with this, it's just that you get the tiniest amount of flavour from the kaffir lime that goes over the prawns. You can smell that as I slice that now. It's
No, you really
absolutely
can.
sensational. Well, we'll shave a little bit of mint up. We're getting all this done just in advance of cooking the prawns because they don't take too long to cook, even though they're so large.
Yeah. I
Nice
presume
and
you
hot?
want this really hot.
Really hot. I
Light
want to
hot, don't
sear
you?
those prawns.
For
We
a
could just
while.
let it heat up and just...
Yeah.
You know what we need? A glass of wine.
We do need a
We
glass
do
of
need
wine.
a glass
You're
of wine.
absolutely right.
I think a West Australian Semillon Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes.
How about that? Shall we get one while we're waiting for that to heat up?
Because we want the prawns to be perfect, you understand?
Now this is the quintessential experience because you're drinking a West Australian Semillon Sauvignon Blanc. Cheers.
I'm already living like a true Western Australian, and I've only just arrived. The prawns have marinated. Let's get a prawn on that barbie.
Let's drop these prawns in.
Are we
I think
ready?
that's hot
Is it
now.
ready?
I
Are you
think that's
sure?
hot. It's feeling pretty sizzly, so
Okay.
we'll go. Yes.
Yes, hear that sizzle. And how long will this take to cook, do you reckon, Russell?
Probably a minute and a half.
A
on
minute
each
and a
side.
half
We'll,
on
we'll,
each side,
We'll
yeah.
let them cook. We might. You start to get that aroma.
Really?
Of those spices. I mean, it's very simple. There's really nothing there, but there's enough there to give it some sizzle. And once those, the garlic and the chili and the ginger start caramelising, you actually get that flavour coming through.
It smells lovely, though. And there is that sort of, little hint of the lemongrass as well.
I'm going to add some of those little bits and pieces back on top. So we don't want to be too shy with those flavours.
This really is a case of great things coming to those who wait, and regular viewers will know that when it comes to waiting, well, it's just not my strong point.
We have to be careful when we cook prawns, because when we do take them off, they will keep on cooking a little bit more. So we don't want to overcook them.
So you want the middle to just be on the turn?
Just on the turn, that colour change, that translucency is just starting to change.
Yes.
A little bit of kaffir lime leaf. I'll run a knife through a little bit of the coriander just so it breaks it down a little bit. Put a squeeze of lime, and then a little grate of a little bit of palm sugar.
Now, you see, this is a lovely little trick, isn't it? I've never seen anybody grate palm sugar on top.
And just a drop or two of fish sauce just to season that up.
Wow.
And there you have my prawns that I cook at home, especially for you.
Oh, Russell, you're a lovely boy. The quality of those prawns are like none I've ever had. They are so succulent and sweet.
And when they're so perfect, when the prawns are so fantastic, we don't need to do too much to them.
Okay, can I have 2 more portions to go?
Okay, let's go. I have to try it.
No, Russell, you won't like
I have to
it.
try my own cooking.
Russell, you won't like it. You do this at home all the time.
Cheers.
I have actually visited Perth a few times over the years, but I sense a change is in the air. Because of its remoteness, in the past, this has driven the ambitious and the young away. But not anymore. There is a younger and, dare I say, more vibrant feel to this city. I'm keen to rediscover it, and the best way to see it, I'm told, is by foot. Ryan organises walking tours of Perth that take you off the beaten track.
Ryan.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan. Nice to meet you.
Now, I'm kind of interested in this sort of, the bars and the eating and the drinking.
Yep.
So has there been a lot of changes in Perth recently?
There has. So a number of years ago, there was some deregulation of our liquor licensing here, and the state government created a new class of bar license called the small bar. And especially in Perth, they've really taken that up. And now in the city centre, there's over 20 small bars, and we're going to get to go have a look at some of those.
With close to 2 million people living here and with a burgeoning service industry, these small bars have transformed the city's nightlife. They're intimate, characterful, and all about great personal service. Ryan has brought me to the trendy district of Wolf Lane.
So when does this area liven up? Is it more of a nighttime thing?
Yeah, definitely during the evening. One of the key reasons is it's off the street.
Right.
So vehicles can come through here, but a very slow pace.
So you can bar hop here?
That's exactly it.
So tonight it will be heaving, but for me it is the middle of the night, what with my jet lag kicking in. I need to pick me up, so we stop off at the Cheeky Sparrow. Their infamous espresso martini will be either kill or cure.
It's not as bad as you think.
Really? Oh, shame. I'll have 3 then.
Well, what is it now? So to keep you packed up, we'll give you a cheeky espresso.
Right.
Angostura white rum. Yes. A Fireball whiskey, which is a cinnamon-flavoured whiskey.
Can I just have a sniff of that?
Absolutely.
It's because I'm the expert now. I've been on the Royal Scotsman. Cinnamon.
Would you like it a little bit sweet?
Sure.
Tell me if that's sweet enough.
No, just a tad. Thank you. Oh, right, chin chin.
Cheers.
Thank you for showing me the city, and thank you for this, because I really need it, I think, to keep me awake. It doesn't taste as alcoholic as it is, does it?
No, that's the hidden...
Yes. You can't have one because you're on the job, Bryce. But cheers, Ryan.
Ryan is passionate about this city, and it's great to hear that the young people are settling here and that Perth is becoming a destination to visit and a great place to live.
There's still that migration of people to the East Coast, but a lot of people are coming back sooner than they normally would have, before they're married with 2 kids and chasing lifestyle.
And our next stop is a great example of one of the great traditions of this city being updated and turned into something contemporary and exciting. This extraordinary building is Print Hall, so called because this is where the famous daily, The West Australian, was printed. The only local newspaper in the city since 1833, this was the way Perthians communicated and kept in touch. It's now a restaurant and bar, and even today when the print presses are silent, it's still a place where locals come to communicate, enjoy a chat whilst eating high-end gastronomy in beautiful surroundings. Keen to pay homage to the magnificent presses that were housed in this building during the heyday of the newspaper industry here in Perth, executive chef Shane Watson is creating a special black and white menu.
These are snow crabs. They're fished out off the continental shelf, so about 1,000 metres deep.
Presumably they're called snow crabs because of the colour?
Yes, yes.
Right.
Snow crabs are white because they see very little daylight living at the bottom of the ocean. Their flesh is famed for being delicate and beautiful. Most of us see very little of them, as 98% is shipped off to China.
Look at that meat. I could just dive into that. I really could.
We just lay down one of our nasturtium leaves.
You see, normally I've only seen people use the nasturtium flowers, which are nice and edible
They're
as well.
delicious as well.
But that looks beautiful.
Next, Shane places an almond milk foam on the leaf.
There was me thinking it was just mayonnaise.
Some sea salt. This is pink sea salt from the Murray River.
And that's very good for you, pink sea salt,
It is,
isn't it?
it is. So the crab meat goes down. Some enoki mushrooms, which really are in a raw state.
And are those grown locally as well?
They are.
Olive oil and salt are added to that beautiful crab meat.
That looks beautiful to me, and this is the white component of our menu today.
It is.
Gorge. Shall we go on to the black next?
We should.
Shane's black course is a twist on risotto with pork sausage cured with squid ink, pork lardons and black rice. Shane combines all the ingredients with a vibrant pig trotter and a natto seed stock before adding more squid ink.
So here we have a chili and confit lemon puree.
Okay.
And obviously, being a completely black dish,
Yeah.
it needs some sort of life to it,
Yes.
and that gives it some sort of balance.
Getting a table here at Print Hall is an art in itself, so to sit with the head chef about to tuck into two of his latest creations is a perk of the job.
Shane, bring it on.
Here you go, sir.
Oh.
Your white and your black.
You know, it's almost a shame to eat it because it just looks so perfect. I would never be able to do this because I'm what you'd call a very messy cook. I'm so intrigued by this sort of almond milk foam that you've made. That crab is absolutely fantastic. It's really just fresh, doesn't it?
It's true, yeah.
And I'm trying to try the leaf as well. I was going to let you try a bit as well, but I've nearly finished it. So clearly I like it.
But give this a crack.
And look at that sort of glossiness of it. It looks like jewels to me. OK, you can't compare the dishes because they're both very different.
They are.
But this is delicious in a very different way. And I think it's just a very clever dish, and it just looks so luxurious and so dramatic and so glossy. This is not the sort of food that I would have expected to eat in Perth. This is very sophisticated.
It is.
And as I, you know, it's great to see what's happening to this town because of people like you.
My whistle-stop tour of Perth is coming to an end. It seems to me a city that may be remote, but that's very comfortable with itself. But it's time for me to board my train here at East Perth Terminal, and I'm feeling a mixture of emotions. I'm incredibly excited, but also a little nervous. First of all, the train itself, the Indian Pacific. The clue is in the name, as this train is taking me all the way across the world's sixth largest country, crossing from the coast of the Indian Ocean here in Perth to the coast of the Pacific in Sydney.
I'm really excited to get on this train because, let's face it, I am about to cross Australia, the whole of Australia. Oh, this says gold, it must be mine. Hello. I'm Jonathan.
Taryn.
Hi, Taryn.
Jess.
Jess, hello. Where am I?
Perth.
Yes, I'm in Perth. Where's my room?
You're in carriage. Oh, yeah.
Am I going to fit in it?
Yes, yes. It's
Yeah?
quite a large room, actually. You're in 5-6.
Oh, lovely.
So the third one along on the left.
The extra large of
Yes.
rooms.
You've got the
Thank you.
superior.
Now, I don't want you to think that I'm getting preferential treatment, but when you travel on trains as often as I do, and you're crossing over 2,000 miles, trust me, you want to be comfortable.
Well, the luggage has been brought on already. It's very large, I must say, and I've got a nice big double bed, which is quite long. So there we go. Yes, marvellous, because what I don't like is when I can't get my feet over the bed. So this is going to be all right, I think. It's not as glamorous as, say, you know, that Belmond Royal Scotsman with all those wonderful sort of Edwardian features. This is 1975, I've got to tell you. However, it's air-conditioned, there's a telly, there's an ensuite, there's enough room for me, enough room for my luggage, and yeah, I think I'm going to be pretty comfortable here.
I'm on a gourmet Australian adventure, and if you love trains and you love food and wine, this should be at the top of your bucket list. Well, I'm about to put that to the test, as I'm about to enter the heart and soul of this train, the dining car. Now, when I say it's a gourmet experience, I'm not exaggerating. Each day, the menus are themed and matched to wines.
What we have is the Stella Bella 2010 Blanc de Blanc. So this is our sparkling wine made in the traditional methods.
Now, I find that rather drinkable. It's very fruity, and I guess it would be gooseberry.
And they even have guest chefs getting on at different stops to cook us special menus. Now I'm told the food is second to none, and of course that means getting the best produce on board as we travel across this vast country. Fish and seafood, as I have come to expect, are central to what they do here. I'm meeting Sam, who was in charge of getting the best and the freshest fish from the sea to my plate.
This indigenous fish to Perth or to Western Australia. This is the dew fish, thank you. Looks lovely. So before I dig in, how would you describe the flavour of the dewfish?
Jewfish is generally a very sweet, sort of mild fish. It's it hasn't got a really overpowering taste, very delicate flavours, but it's also a very hearty fish. So quite thick, very. It doesn't flake as much as sort of snappers and that sort of.
Right. I would say this is similar to halibut or turbot. Would I be right?
Yeah, in the sort of the thickness of it and the texture. Yeah, definitely.
I think this is just such a wonderful idea that the Indian Pacific has of sort of having this gourmet experience, because the scenery is, I think, beautiful right now. Apparently it's going to get really boring for a couple of days. So it's going to be the food that keeps me going, apparently. But if this is the first meal we're having, and it's of great standards, so thank you.
No problem, no problem.
After a delicious lunch, I was able to sit back and watch the day go by as we travelled the first 500 or so miles of our trek across Australia. Adam Liao won MasterChef in Australia and is a big celeb over here, having won the hearts of the nation back in 2010.
I am very excited to meet you because I saw you win MasterChef in 2010.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And you're a lawyer, and then you won the show, and all sorts of things have happened since.
It's a bit different now. It's not turning up to an office every day and sitting behind a desk. It's sometimes cramped train kitchen and trying to get out a meal for 30 or 40 people.
Who was the biggest influence in your cooking?
My grandmother, absolutely. She has probably cooked more meals for me than anybody else. Certainly she has. And there was such a great variety of food that she made for us, having those different influences. The Hainanese, Chinese side from Malaysia, and even the English and French side from my mother, who was born in Singapore.
What was it about your food, do you think, that sort of impressed the judges on that show and made you win?
Fusion food is generally a pretty terrible thing. For me, that's kind of how I've grown up. We've always grown up with this mix of foods and trying to make it all work together on the table. And it takes a bit of sensibility, I think, to get two things that are very different and make them sit side by side.
And is your grandmother still alive?
She is.
And she must have been elated when you won.
It was very emotional, I think, to see her so proud at that point. And she's getting on in years now. And when she goes and chats with all of her grey-haired and blue-haired friends, now she's got a little picture of me winning MasterChef that she likes to show off to people.
Everyone on board is very excited about tonight's first dinner, modern Australian dinner.
Hi everyone, I'm going to introduce the menu to you first of all.
Adam is so well known over here, there are quite a few willing candidates to sit and eat dinner with him, so I feel very privileged that the pleasure is yours truly. We start with an Asian-infused broth, served with a mud crab and barramundi dumpling.
Tell me about the broth, because it's got a lovely fishy flavour.
Yeah, I'll start with the chicken consomme and I'll do the same thing. So that's kind of the base of this. And then to lighten it up a bit, we've just got some sherry to knock it back.
And the texture of the crab and the barramundi is very interesting. It wasn't what I was expecting. It's got a total sort of mincemeat texture there, isn't it?
Yeah. It's almost like we've used pork mince instead or something.
Next, it's lamb shoulder and loin, which has been glazed in Ligurian honey, served with spring vegetables.
Thank you.
Welcome, enjoy.
Is this cooked to your satisfaction?
It looks good. It looks good. They've done a good job with it, I think.
Both cuts of lamb are fantastic because lamb really is perfect in this country. But I have to say, the shoulder, the sous vide shoulder with the Ligurian honey on, is absolutely melt in the mouth. It's
good.
And here we are with the pav.
Finally, a dessert always associated with Australia.
So, is the pavlova from Australia or New Zealand? What's your story?
As an Australian, I feel bound to say that it's from Australia, but really it's from New Zealand.
It's absolutely delicious. You're absolutely right. You don't want everything too sweet because you don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
You're very, very
welcome.
welcome.
Pleasure to meet you. Look forward to seeing you in London one day.
Definitely.
After Adam's fantastic meal, I slept like a log, and I wake up to find the landscape has changed dramatically.
Waking up this morning and looking at the views, this is what Australia is in the middle and the interior of the country. It's a nice time for reflection. It does make you feel that you are in the middle of nowhere and rather suspended in time.
Leaving Western Australia, we are now heading towards South Australia and are travelling through the infamous Nullarbor Plains. It translates as the land of no trees. It's arid and 77,000 square miles. It's vast. Crossing a country almost the size of Europe is a challenge. The landscape is very samey. There are no people, there are no trees, there are no buildings, and it's turned more adventurous men and women than me a bit doolally. I'm intending to comfort eat my way through this, and with all the gorgeous food and wine on this gourmet train, I won't be too hard on myself. But between meals, the Indian Pacific puts on all sorts of fun activities to help you while away the hours. Chris Lloyd is one of South Australia's leading artisan cheesemakers.
So has anyone made cheese before?
And is one of the guest lecturers on board.
I just love this cheese. I love the smell of it.
So I ask her the question on everyone's lips.
Do you remember the first time you actually made cheese?
I do.
Okay, tell me the story.
It was really interesting because I made it. It was mine.
Yes.
I owned it. What I didn't bargain for was that I would fall in love.
Really? It was just like that?
It was.
Yes, you've heard that correctly. I'm interviewing a woman who is in love with a piece of cheese. Chris not only enthuses about cheese, smells cheese, she gets you to make your own.
We need to cut it. So I want you to try and think of just create a checkerboard.
All right.
You know, maybe 2 centimetre by 2 centimetre odd.
Ooh.
You feel that's nice and set, isn't it?
Ooh.
Bit of
So I'm not very good
resistance.
at cutting straight.
No, you don't need to be straight. Done.
No, there's lots of little pieces now.
Oh, there is, but don't
Not
smash
too many.
it.
Okay. Nice.
Not that confident about my effort. And because it takes at least a day to set, let's taste some of Chris's cheese.
Talk me through a few of these cheeses.
Well, I guess some of these cheeses are a bit of a labour of love.
You're not kidding. And here's one of her personal favourites, the Figaro.
I mean, how long did this take for you to perfect?
I've been making this now for about 8 years, but it
Right.
took me at least 2 years to get it right.
2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a massive commitment. I
It
mean, that
is.
really is passion. How have you achieved this sort of rustic look? What is this? Is it ash? Is it vines?
They're vine leaves, and
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to cut you a small portion there. The acidity in the cheese actually pulls in the vine leaves, and it all becomes one.
See, I think that's lovely.
It is, isn't
It's
it?
a very mild flavour.
Yeah.
It's a bit more pungent than it actually tastes, but it's a very nice texture as well. All right, so on average, from cow to mouth, how long?
This one is nearly 16 months old.
Okay.
So you got to be patient.
All right, I'll see you
Doesn't happen.
I'll see you next Christmas. But it's been a pleasure.
Oh, I
Thank
look
you so
forward to
much.
it.
Really, it's been very interesting, and I really love what you're doing. So keep going.
Thank you.
I've actually loved meeting Chris, and with apologies to Monty Python, blessed are the cheesemakers. The Trans-Australian Railway started building the line across the Nullarbor in 1917. It was here that they built the longest straight stretch of rail track in the world, stretching some 293 miles, starting here in Cook. Now, the town of Cook was built with it, and although tiny, it thrived, as it took deliveries of tea and sugar and had its own water supply. Not so now. Since the railway was privatised, the town has shut down. It now has a population of just 4 people. Oh, I do hope they all get on.
From the comfort and the air conditioning of the train, literally when you open the door to get off the train, the heat hits you like a blanket. It's probably at least 35 degrees and pretty humid. There's a lot of flies everywhere. That's the only sort of life I can see around me. Now I'm getting a sense of just the enormity of this country, and I understand why it has such a small population, because now I'm getting through it and I haven't even touched a quarter of it. There is no life. So, you know, the cities are by the coasts, and I totally understand it. I think I'm going to be happier in the comfort of my suite with the air conditioning and Taryn at my beck and call.
Now, this vast expanse of arid land gives lots of food completely unique to this region. The ubiquitous bush tucker. There may be no trees, but herbs and fruits grow in abundance. I'm meeting today's guest chef, Mark Olive, who cooks with the bounty of the Nullarbor.
Hi, Jonathan. How lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. So tell me why you're on this train and what you're going to teach us.
Well, look, I've been on the train to present to stuff that we have from all around the country, like from the fruits to the herbs, and a selection of the meats here. Food that hasn't been, you know, presented anywhere else in the world, and it's slowly being picked up. And being a nation with the oldest Indigenous people in the world, a lot of this food, you'll find it on paintings in caves and on rock art all around the country. But, you know, to have these herbs, utilise them and be proud of it. Chefs around the world are banging on the door to get this stuff.
Well, I'm excited to taste what you've got for me, so talk me through this array of ingredients.
Now, what we have here is a bush tomato. Now, I want you to take a pinch, put it on your tongue. Now, roll it around and put it on the top of your roof of your mouth and roll it. You're going to get bitter, and then it's going to go sweet.
I was just about to say just that. When I put it on my tongue, there's a really quite intense tomato flavour. Then it went bitter, and now it's beautifully sweet.
Yeah, and you know, I call this the base of, you know, for making sauces, vinaigrettes, casseroles, stews, all of that sort of stuff that you put meat in, or vegetables. It gives it a really good pop. This is the salt bush, Jonathan. Really exciting. Take a pinch of that. Put that on your tongue. Give it a chew. Now, people think it, you know, like fish food and stuff, but then you get a salty...
Definitely a nice salty flavour.
And it's a subtle salt.
You see, I don't like things over salty, so that also has health benefits as well.
It's great on sweet potato fries, you know, chips. Here we have a rye berry, grows well in New South Wales.
It's very citrus though.
Yeah, very citrus, but it makes a great chutney and it makes a great jam. Here we have a quandong. It's also known as
Quandong.
Quandong. You thought I was going to say
something.
Say it quicker. Quandong. It's very, again, bitter, but we call this the...
I quite like that.
We call this the native peach. It's got that peachy flavour, but also it's great for when you're making jams, sauces. This is a muntry berry, and a lovely, lovely berry, and you're getting two flavours out of that. What are you getting out of that?
I'm getting apple. Is there a little faintness of cinnamon there?
Geez, you're good. There is that spicy, you know, flavour to it. So again,
that's delicious.
It's great, isn't it?
The problem is you'd need a whole load of them to fill up a pie.
Look at the size of them and the amount of flavour you're getting out of them.
They really are delicious. Remind me what this is called again?
A muntry berry.
Muntry.
Yeah.
These herbs and flavourings are used to spice up some of those iconic classics of Australian cuisine.
And what do you have here?
Well, we've got a little bit of crocodile, I've smoked.
Worried about that.
The crocodile has a bland flavour to it. In the wild, they're very seafoody, and on the farms, it's got flavour of chicken because they feed them chicken, so they take on that flavour.
Is that why?
But try a little bit of that, but by itself, just take a little bit. Now, what I want you to do... What I want you to do, I want you to take some of these muntry berries...
And sort of stuff them.
Put it in there, roll it up, and... Just to give you an idea of texture, flavour, and...
So is this the sort of thing that you would serve as a little canapé?
Yeah.
Little emu roll with the berries in? No, very good. Very good.
Different, isn't it? You know, you get the apple, you get the emu, you get the cinnamon, you get everything else going on with it.
That's really nice. I don't think I want to call it emu, but I'll just call it it's really nice. But that's the sort of thing that I could eat all the time.
Now here we have the crocodile.
That apparently tastes like chicken because they eat a lot of them. Oh, this is a first for me. There's been a lot of firsts on this journey for me. And here's another one, me eating crocodile. Okay. You know, the Chinese have a lot of like dried cuttlefish and stuff like that, so it's a bit reminiscent of that. The texture's a little bit rubbery.
Yeah.
But actually the flavour it's nice, it's fine.
I've flavoured it with a little bit of lemon there, the sea parsley and saltbush. That's all I've put with it.
Mark is so knowledgeable, and I'm intrigued to try his lunch, flavoured with those indigenous herbs and spices.
The flavours are so intense and so fresh. It just looks quite plain, it looks almost boring, but the flavour from all of those wild herbs are much more intense, more vibrant, and much fresher tasting than conventional herbs that I've used before, and it's absolutely delicious. So it's the perfect meal for the environment that I'm in, and I'm perfectly happy.
Coming up, I've travelled over 1,600 miles from Perth to Adelaide, having crossed the Nullarbor Plains, which, whilst vast and magnificent, were beginning to make me feel decidedly small and insignificant. I've arrived in Adelaide, the capital of South Australia, and we passengers are more than happy to stretch our legs. It's situated beautifully between the Adelaide Hills and the southern Indian Ocean. I've only got enough time to whiz to the market in central Adelaide, as I've promised to cook for the man in charge of all the gourmet food on the train.
Well, this is Adelaide Central Market, and I'm coming to meet a guy called Mark, because he's had his stall here for a long time and knows all there is to know about the history of it too. Are you Mark?
Jonathan, hi.
Nice
Welcome to
you.
Adelaide.
Thank you very much.
This is the home of all the beautiful artisan foods of South Australia.
Yeah, and I hear you're one of the most popular ones, and I can see why.
Yes, we've got some beautiful treats here. A lot of homemade cakes from varying cultures.
So what are the various nationalities that...
Well, if you look at migration into South Australia, we have Germans, Italians, Greeks, of course, Vietnamese, and now we're getting the Africans from Nigeria. We've actually got a stall here now that does Algerian food.
Well, that's quite an eclectic mix of cultures, isn't it? What do you think attracted them to Adelaide and South Australia?
Lifestyle. Absolutely.
Tell me about the lifestyle in Adelaide.
This is a gorgeous little town.
Right.
It hasn't really got big, and it's surrounded by beautiful hills and country. It's clean and it's safe, and the food is the thing that we all love about it.
A city that loves food? I can get with that, and it's a good job, as I'm in need of inspiration.
I can totally understand why this is called the Central Market, because the place is absolutely a hive of activity. There's food from all over the globe here.
So I've got no excuse. I'm bound to find something to cook that will impress train manager Bradley, as long as I don't get too distracted.
You've been baking all morning?
I personally haven't. The baker's asleep.
Oh, I bet he is if he's been up all night.
Not as easy as it sounds.
Can I try your winner's mix? What's in there? So we've got almonds, macadamias and cashews. Sounds very good to me. One little shovelful would be enough to get me going, I think. They're so vibrant, all of the fruit here. Look at, if you could only smell what I'm smelling now, you'd be very happy. I'm beginning to get a bit of inspiration for what I may cook on the train.
It would be criminal to go shopping at Adelaide's Central Market and not buy some incredible seafood.
Look at the size of these tuna sticks. I've never seen anything like that. I'm looking for barramundi. We are in Australia after all. Ah, here we go, barramundi fillets. Yeah, just two quite large meaty pieces would be great. I'm gonna have a nice big handful of these lovely prawns. Perfect. And the same with the scallops as well. Perfect. It's certainly cheaper than I would get this back home, because this would feed about 6 people. As you can see, I had a great morning and I have absolutely everything I need to cook up a storm back on that train.
Back on board the Indian Pacific, we're now heading across state to New South Wales, travelling some 320 miles to our next stop at Broken Hill. The view outside the window has changed dramatically. There are quite a few trees for starters. We're in the Barossa Valley, There are 150 wineries producing their world-famous Shirazes, Cabernets and Merlots here.
Well, here we are in Broken Hill, which is one of the oldest mining towns in South Australia and has some amazing architecture. Great big pubs apparently as well. It's a bit like a living museum, so I'm fascinated to see what's around. It's absolutely baking, which is fabulous. I might go back and put my shorts on.
Broken Hill is known as the capital of the outback. It's a mining town and it mines vast quantities of zinc, lead and silver, which it exports all over the world. But it's also famous for putting the Australian film industry on the map.
I've just found the Palace Hotel, and this is where Priscilla, Queen of the Desert was filmed. I've just seen this rainbow flag here, which kind of surprised me. So I think I'm just going to go in for a little libation and see if we can make some memories.
This was the hilarious, heartwarming and, let's face it, outrageously camp film that starred Terence Stamp and Guy Pearce, and the denouement happened right here in the Palace Hotel.
So we are at the Palace Hotel, which was made famous in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, a place that I never thought I'd ever visit. I thought it was fictional, actually. So I've had a nice little look round, and it is the real McCoy. And I'm on this lovely balcony with this lovely old fretwork. I love all this.
It just goes to show you, you never know where and when you're going to find a diamond in the rough. Now, having got distracted, I'm in serious danger of missing the train, which is leaving in a few minutes.
I've got seconds to spare before the train leaves, but I just wanted to stop and see the front of the train that's been driving me for the last 2 days, because I haven't seen it yet, because I'm way at the back. And look at it, it just looks fantastic in this setting. It looks like this environment is sort of made for it. As the sun is setting and we've got the mines behind, it's the perfect setting, but I've really got to go.
We're on the final leg of our mammoth Australian adventure, with just 700 miles to go before we arrive in Sydney. So there's time to make good on my promise. I'm cooking for the train's food manager, Boss Bradley, hoping to get my signature dish on the menu. Chef Jenny is aiding and abetting me, which is code for keeping an eye on me.
Well, thank you for letting me invade your kitchen. I know what a nightmare it is when you've got strangers in there. And I was trying to think of something nice to cook for you guys. So I thought, well, I'd better just do something I know I can cook. Something really easy with a few ingredients in. And obviously the fish is so fantastic here. So I thought I'd teach you how to make my seafood curry. It's incredibly simple and something that I do all the time.
Now I'm playing it safe. 1, I'm very confident cooking this dish. And 2, everyone loves a curry, including, I hope, food manager Bradley. He is in charge of all the food on this gourmet journey.
I just want to see if he thinks that something like my seafood curry might be something that he could include at some point. You never know. I know it would go down well in England because people love curry there. Are you dictated to by the suppliers along the way, because you need to pick up food every time you stop, don't you?
Oh, definitely. We do. We go into a lot of time. That's why the menu sometimes takes a while to source produce, to get exactly what we want. On the train, it's hard because you can't just go to a shop if something doesn't work out. So you have to know what you're doing.
Here am I cooking on a train. I thought I'd do this.
Once my sauce is made, I throw in some coriander, I poach the fish, and Bob's your uncle, and hopefully Bradley's on board.
Beautiful.
I really hope that Bradley likes it too, because I can think of nothing more exciting than having one of my recipes on the Indian Pacific Great Southern Railway menu.
Time to present my magnum opus, seafood curry.
Mr. Bradley, sir.
Hello. Wow, look at that. Fantastic.
Made specially
It
for
smells
you.
Beautiful.
Please dig in and I hope
Thank
you
you.
enjoy it.
Really enjoyable. The seafood is beautifully sweet, clearly very fresh. The Adelaide Central Market is awesome for this style of food, so job well done. Very good.
Have I made the grade? Will you put it on the list to consider?
I think we need to talk business.
Let's negotiate.
This is the ultimate gourmet train experience. I've crossed Australia. I've survived the Nullarbor Plains, have visited little mining towns, beautiful multicultural cities like Perth and Adelaide along the way. I've met some gorgeous people whose knowledge and kindness has been an inspiration. And all this whilst eating beautiful food cooked by fantastic guest chefs. And now to cap it all, I'm off to Sydney.
Here I am in Sydney. Hello, goodbye. What a joy you were. Thank you so much for cooking with me.
Thank you.
You've been marvellous.
Wow.
I've loved the service. These two are fabulous. I'm sad to leave, but I'm excited to continue on the next leg of my journey.